Welcome back, ladies and gents. Today we have an Algorand video lined up for you. Now, the last Algorand video that we did, we were lucky enough to be joined by Stacey Warden, who of course is the CEO of the Algorand Foundation. And what a delight that interview was for me to conduct. And really, I think throughout that interview, you get a sense of just how impactful Algorand truly is. We spoke about Algorand broadly, we spoke about some of the things coming for it, and we spoke about some of the things it's already doing. And Algorand's very much a tinderbox that is only going to take one spark to ignite. So there's lots of things, just like with the dawn of the internet, some of the largest companies and use cases for the world came out of that. With DLT technology, we're going to experience a similar evolution. And actually, Algorand is very perfectly positioned. And I think we're going to see some interesting things coming out of the US. Of course, Algorand is classed as, it's in that kind of US category. And I'm sure there's lots of things that are to come on the back end of all that. So if you haven't watched that interview, guys, do go and check my channel out and take a look at it. We're also on all of your kind of podcasting platforms. And do give us a follow over on Twitter. And, of course, become a subscriber to the Allincrypto YouTube channel. We are the place to be, certainly as it relates to coins like Algo. And what I want to do before we get into this video, we are going to be looking at price. Because I think fundamentally there's a great story for Algorand, but also technically when we look at the charts in the way that we like to look at them through phase analysis, we like to break markets down into four phases. There's an accumulative phase, there's an uptrend phase, a bull market, there's a distribution phase, a top, and then there's a bear market. Algorand's now in an uptrend that it confirmed on the recent breakout that we had in November, or December, I should say. And it's put in the first kind of legs or the first signs of what's to come. And we will be exploring that, showing you other examples. But to kick things off, this was from the Algorand Foundation. We also did an article on it over at allincrypto.com, very quickly becoming one of the biggest, or the fastest growing, not the biggest yet, that will come, kind of media outlets as it relates to website format. But this was from the Algorand Foundation, breaking Italian energy giant Enel Group, Europe's largest electricity producer and the second largest in the world, has partnered with Con.io to launch a solar panel tokenization product on Algorand. Italian residents can now purchase solar panels, have Enel manage them, and apply the energy produced directly to their bills. No rooftop required. Real world assets on Algorand. Now, this is very cool because it ultimately opens people up to the energy markets and being a participant in them. And that's what we're seeing broadly with this technology, is a democratization of many of these big industries. Of course, energy is one, and Algorand very much at the forefront of that. So we did do an entire article on this. Of course, we also cite our interview that we managed to do with Stacey Warden, titled 99% of People Don't Know About Algorand. Interview with CEO, obviously, of the foundation. Great interview. You really get a sense of just how impactful this technology is. And there's also some technical changes that are taking place with Algorand. As of today, Algorand is the third biggest blockchain in terms of node validators. So people partaking to maintain this distributed ledger. Obviously, this is excluding Bitcoin, but Ethereum is first with that 6,435 validators. Then you've got Multi-X, and then you've got Algorand, which I actually think, since this post was published, will actually engulf Multiverse X and some of the others out there and become one of the kind of biggest contributed to networks from a kind of decentralized node point of view. Now, of course, a lot of those nodes leverage Web 2 services like Amazon, etc. I actually have a node. It's a hardware node that I actually have in a storage. We will look to sort of announce more things about that as we proceed. But we're taking part in this. It's really interesting to see how Algorand's very much accelerating in the fight, the kind of decentralized participation fight in maintaining this ledger that is ultimately being leveraged by the likes of Europe's largest energy producer and, of course, the world's second largest energy producer, not to mention everything else that it's doing. So very exciting things going on technically with Algorand. We've obviously had John Wood on the show to talk to us about this a number of times. There's also things with governance and all sorts of things we can go into that we're going to save for another video. But what I want to do, and I guess predominantly, is just talk about the beautiful nature of Algorand's chart. Now, we continue to say this and we continue to put forward our views on how we analyze the markets. And I believe it's the best way to do so. You take a big time frame, a weekly time frame is typically what we look at. And we look for market cycles to rinse and repeat. And markets typically move in 4 phases. Phase 1, which is accumulation. Phase 2, which is an uptrend. Phase 3, which is a top. And phase 4, which is, of course, a downtrend. And it's very common that during phase 1, you'll accumulate in a pattern-esque format. So whether that's an inverse head and shoulders, like we've had for many, Bitcoin was a great example that we were looking at back when it was in the sort of 20K regions, or whether it's something like a double bottom. And it's very common that when you actually break out of the resistance level that pinned you in phase 1, when you start to base, you do it with volume, momentum, showing conviction in the move. Not only do you typically get the breakout, you'll then get a retest of the resistance that's now flipped to support, signifying that a broader uptrend is on hand. You start to put in higher highs and higher lows. And those higher highs and higher lows, even though we've initiated that and put in the first, are still very much to come. Now, the double bottom target that we have gives us confluence to the direction that Algorand's price is heading in. We have a 99 cents dollar price prediction for Algorand on the back end of this. It won't be long, in my opinion, until you reach that. And then, of course, I think you're going to go above and beyond this and really start phase 2, which is an uptrend. We can show you plenty of examples of this. Samsara is a great example. This was something we were also looking at. And we were speculating on phase 1. You've got a breakout of this. Look at your volume spike here, confirming the breakout. Volume is very telling. Also, to go back to the Algorand chart, typically when it comes to volume during an accumulative range, it's on the upward moves. And you can see that throughout Algorand's accumulation. Vice versa, when you're looking for a distributed phase, a phase 3, volume's typically heavier, showing you who's in control of the market or what the dominant players are. Volume typically heavier on down legs, showing you that ultimately this is likely distribution, and you're going to see that sort of breaking down of the market. Vice versa, in an uptrend, you'll see that kind of accumulation with volume to the upside. Then you'll see that volume spike on the breakout. You'll often get a retest, which we're doing perfectly here, and then you'll see that continuation. And you'll see this across hundreds of charts. We've got 4 examples for you here. Of course, Samsara is one. Double bottom, breakout, retest, exceptionally common, very important. If you don't get that, it's not always the end of the world, but it's very common that you do that. Confirming that phase 2, obviously you get a retest of that. It acts as support, being prior resistance, and then you go on and put in a succession of higher highs and higher lows in a phase 2 uptrend fashion. Also, Samsara had a target that was met, just like we're very much expecting for Algorand today, ladies and gentlemen. We also have Alchemy Technologies Incorporated. This was another one that I was looking at with my group. This is very much kind of double bottom, triple bottomy. You will obviously get a break of this consolidation, and then you continue on a broader uptrend, and your target from the double bottom was indeed met. This is the future, or these are blueprints of what Algorand has ahead of it, ladies and gentlemen. And we can also show you the New York Times company. Double bottom, breakout, you get your retest, and then you embark on a broader journey, taking you back to all-time highs. This is what we have ahead of us for Algorand, ladies and gentlemen. If you look at what we've done since we broke out, let's dive down the time frames. Let's start on a daily. You can see that we broke out, we very much pulled back in, and now we're very much consolidating. You'll notice this is a very common theme across multiple altcoins. Now, I ultimately think that this is going to set up for some form of continuation. This continuation pattern could actually coincide with our 99 cents double bottom target that sees Algorand progress in what we believe it's now in, which is a phase 2, which is an uptrend for the markets. And we've shown you just 3, but we could show you hundreds of examples of charts that typically do this. Charts will, and you've all probably seen the Wall Street cheat sheet, seems very kind of gimmicky, but it's really tying emotions to markets. And I guess markets have that element of psychology within them because they're ultimately driven by human beings. Human beings often make the same mistakes or do the same things time and time again and get, kind of trend. If you think about a trend, you can think about clothing trends and how things come into fashion. They go out of fashion. They do well. They don't do well. Markets are very similar, I guess, in some respects. But the important thing is just how beautiful Algorand's chart is. The fact that this is a breakout and a retest. And now you've got that continuation. You put in that higher high and that higher low. Now you've got that continuation ahead of you. This is all backed up by volume. And I essentially think you've got this pretty sensational time ahead as an Algorand holder. Is it going to be the best performing cryptocurrency? I couldn't really comment on that. I do think there are some cryptos out there that will outperform it. I have taken that bet personally. I hold larger sums of other cryptocurrencies. Of course, we are partaking in the Algorand network, so we do have some stake in it. But I think fundamentally it's an absolute juggernaut. And technically, when you look at the chart, it's giving us some very positive feedback in regards to what it's doing. And we expect phase 2 to continue and see Algorand's price appreciate to new all-time highs, or certainly to all-time highs, and then above and beyond them. So we'll keep you up to date on Algorand, guys. Don't worry. If you like Algorand, do become a subscriber to the channel. We're trying to be the place to be when it comes to some of your favorite cryptos. And hopefully you guys can help me achieve that mission. That's it from me, guys. I'm going to love and leave you. Thanks a lot for watching, everyone. I'll see you all in the next one.